In this menu, go find your texture in the drop-down list. There's my first one. Then hit the Use Own Palette button. Do the same with all the new textures you added, and at the end hit the Trim Palette List button in order to remove unused textures from the list. So much for Ultimate Editor, don't forget to save. Now I still need to do a copy of my HOB file, 2 copies, and then we should be ready for a first test. Just noticed I forgot something. We still need to edit the track axis, of course. So once your stuff is copied, open your hex editor and drag and drop your executable into it. In order to improve the readability, you should probably set your hex editor to read 16 bytes per row. Now we need to find the right position to edit. Just keep searching your model's name until the editor doesn't find any further entries. So here we are. I searched for FM1 instead of FS, because so I could enter 3 letters instead of only 2. Now what I do in here looks very complicated, but is actually very simple. The location marked right now is the slot name, and this here marks the amount of phases this slot is going to have. So in my case it's 8 phases. Just be aware that you have to enter a hex value instead of a decimal one. Now this location and the next 4 bits mark the model's scale. Most hex editors allow you to convert those values into decimals values so that you can understand them. The models using this slot are currently using the scale of 1. I'm just going to leave it right now. If you need to increase or decrease the scale later on, you can do it in here. These bytes are for phases again. Just set the same amount of them to 01 as you entered above. So for me it's 8 of them again, and be sure that the rest of the bytes in your slot is set to 0, otherwise BotF will probably crash. Now we can finally do a first test, so let's start BotF. I already prepared the game to run into an encounter at the next turn, and of course one of the models used in there is our Borg base. Looks good at the first sight, so I'm trying to zoom in a bit. Sorry about the flickering. It looks like Camtasia has problems capturing BotF. Well, the model looks good, however I think I made a mistake and placed the model at the wrong location on the map. So that's one mistake I need to correct. But before I do that, we try to do a little phaser test. Sorry, quality is really bad here, but the phases are firing. Okay, I'm back in Creator. I loaded the model, and as you see, there's my mistake. The model is placed above the grid. So be sure you have your model placed in the center of the grid, as this is also the location where the torpedoes are going to be fired from. Okay, this should be fine. Now let's do a final test. And after that I'm going to show you how to make some nice renders of your model and how to make a ship pack for this Ultimate editor. Very good, zooming works like a charm now, and the transparency seems to look good also. Ah, there we go. As you see, the faces and torpedoes are working as well. So much for the 3D view. Now let's do some renders. I'm going to use 3ds Max again. If you're using something else, don't worry. It should work in a similar way on most other editors. First I open my mesh and going to zoom into it in the perspective window. And then I move it into a good looking position I like. This should do the job for now. Now I open the render menu. First we set the background to be black. And now in the render menu we can set the size of the output, where we want to save our output, and also if we want to render the wireframe only or the whole textured model. I start with the biggest image, 170 by 142. Now this one is very important. Be sure to select the right file type, a 16-bit Targa, and also be sure to have no compression added to your image. Otherwise, you can guess it, BotF will crash, of course. Oh, and for those who are not able to render 16-bit Targas, this Ultimate Editor is also able to convert your 24-bit Targas into 16-bit Targas. So here's my first picture. I won't show you all the renders, of course, otherwise it would take forever. Just check the AFC forums, you should find a list there with all the images you are supposed to render. Now here's how you render a wireframe. Just set the model color to green and set the renderer to render the wireframe only. So here we make it totally green in order to make it look the same as the other BotF models. In this menu you may improve wire thickness a bit in order to improve visibility, and don't forget to check the force wireframe box as I did. Once you made your renders, just drop them into the res file. And here's how they look in game. There's our render again. Notice how the black background became fully transparent in game. The bigger versions of it look fine as well. And here's how the wireframe looks like. Now that we have proved that our model works fine, we go over to the final step and make a ship pack for it. Open Ultimate Editor, then open the res file where you just dropped your models in, and then go to the Add Remove Ship Models menu. Then find your model in the drop down list and hit the Create Ship Pack button. Once you gave it a rather useful name, you can export your ship model into it. Optionally, you may also set an author by hitting the Set Author button if you want to. That's it so far. Here's how the ship pack is supposed to look like once you made it. I hope the video was rather useful and that we are going to see plenty of new ship models soon in our community.